This is the city council work session for Monday, April 19th, 2021. And we will start off with the introduction of new employees. Terry, are you ready for this?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I think our first employee that we're going to be introducing today is Briseta Ortega. She goes by Bree. And I wasn't sure if Bill wanted to do a quick introduction for her, or if you just wanted me to have her start introducing herself.
Yeah, I'll say just a couple things. We're really excited to have Briseta with us. She graduated high school here and actually interned with Lisa in the city clerk's office for a few years, and then went off, got her education, and came back. So it's a success story of getting people used to local government and getting them excited, and then they want to actually come back. So we'll turn it over to Bree.
Yeah. Hi there. My name is Briseta, go by Bree. And yes, very excited. I am the community program specialist. So I work with Kendall, the community program manager. And so it's been 3 weeks already, and it's, I've really enjoyed it so far, and I'm just so happy to be back. I tried really hard to stay in Denver, but I kept coming back to Montrose, and, I finally made a decision to come back. So yeah, I'm here.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for coming back. It's always good to see our young people coming back to help our community. Thank you.
Yes, I'm very excited. Nice to meet you guys.
All right, we are very happy to have her back as well. Our next person that we're going to be introducing is Kristen Bovray. She's Public Works Customer Service Representative. Is Jim available to introduce her?
Hi, I'm Kristen.
Yep, I guess Jim is unavailable today, and so we'll introduce her. There he is.
Oh.
I'm available barely.
Hi, Jim.
Hello. So yeah, Kristen has been with us just a short time already, and I'll let her introduce herself, but we definitely welcome her positive attitude and high-paced personality, and we really enjoy her down at Public Works. So with that, Kristen, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Kristen Bovray, and I moved to Montrose because I wanted to be closer to my family. I have been in customer service for years and years and years, and really love people and love the public, and am super excited about learning about the city and how the city works and all of it. And Jim, you've been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to the organization.
Thank you.
All right, and our next introductee is Lucy Fresquez. She's a Black Canyon line cook, and I think Anne might be available to introduce her.
Yes, thank you, Terry.
I am.
Here she comes.
All right. Good morning. I'm happy to introduce Lucy Fresquez. She is the cook at the new Rusty Putter restaurant. She has lots of experience working in restaurants locally and is already doing a fantastic job getting the menu set and starting to cook some outstanding meals at the Rusty Putter. Welcome, Lucy, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much. I'm originally from Colorado. I spent 25 years in Dallas, Fort Worth, and we moved back a few years ago after my husband retired. As you stated, I have years of experience in customer service in the food industry, and that's my hobbies as well: cooking, baking, gardening, growing food. So I am very honored to be working with the city of Montrose.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you.
I did not hear one thing about how you all are doing. Did you not pick that up in Texas?
I try to stay a little bit away from it, but I guarantee you when I bring food out to someone at the Rusty Putter, is here's y'all's food and so it comes through. It does.
Yes, I lived down there a few years myself. And I did get a chance to do a little food tasting for you out there on Friday. It
Yes,
was
sir.
very good.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
And our last two new employees are Bobby Rossiter and Ruben Trujillo. And you met them at 9:30 for their swearing in. And I think if Chief Hall is on the line, maybe he can say a few more words about them. But I think they're changing so that they can get back to orientation.
Thanks, Terry. Yep. So two new police officers, Bobby Rossiter and Ruben Trujillo. They're both experienced officers from Pueblo County Sheriff's Department and a husband and wife team, and it's great to have them on board. They were actually attracted to Montrose based on our community's reputation and positive reputation in the area, and then our recruiting team kind of sealed the deal with that. So welcome, and they have a positive attitude, and we're glad to have them. So thank you.
All right, well, if you would like to say hi again very quickly, here they are. We've already, come over here, please. Please come over here. So Bobby, you first, just kind of wave at them. They've already, anything else you want to say about yourself? You can kind of real quickly.
Hi again.
All right.
So I'm Bobby Rossiter. I was with the Pueblo Sheriff's Office for 11 years before coming here. 8 of that was detention, 3 was patrol. I have a couple kids that'll be going between Pueblo and here that I'm trying to teach to love the outdoors. And my only family in town is this guy behind me. I think that's pretty much it.
All right. Welcome.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Real quick.
Hello again, Ruben Trujillo. I was with the Sheriff's Office for 5.5 years before coming here in Pueblo County. I enjoy, of course, hunting, camping, fishing. Plan on picking up some outdoor recreational activities here like snowshoeing, maybe cross-country skiing. I look forward to being part of the community and helping out where I can, doing what I can for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another great group of people, and can't wait to get them started working. We've already been working for a few weeks now. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. The next item on our agenda today for the work session is the Planning Commission applicant interviews. We have 2 people to interview. Who's handling that?
They're both here on the line, so
Okay.
whatever order you prefer.
Would you please state your name for us and a little information about yourself?
I'm Delphine Jadot, and I'm a realtor here in Montrose, Colorado. And I applied for the Planning Commission because I really love being involved in my community and know what's happening and make an impact and make sure that I understand what's happening in the community and how we're growing.
All right. We'll open it up for the council to ask questions if you don't mind. David? You don't have anything?
My first question would be, one of the issues in Montrose that's currently very hot topic is affordable housing and family housing, multifamily housing, and some of the developments going on. Could you give us a little bit of your own opinion about what should and shouldn't do about that?
I do think it's a huge issue. It's not just Montrose as well. It's many communities like ours who are having this issue at the moment. I do think that it takes creativity to come up with ideas. And I think together with everyone in the commission, I really am hoping that we can have creative ideas on how to, just like, for example, commercial that is not selling and that is sitting, that can be turned into multifamily that could be more affordable for great new employees like we met today. To me, that is so important that we attract the right talent for Montrose. And right now it's a bit of a challenge to attract the right talent because of housing. So in my opinion, housing needs to change. And in my opinion, you know, we just need to come up with new ideas on how to bring affordable housing to Montrose.
Thank you. Thank you.
Barbara?
Good morning. Thank you for being here. One of your areas of expertise and something that you would bring to the Planning Commission per your application is your experience and background as a realtor.
Yes.
And so my question is, while that certainly does offer a unique perspective, sometimes the decisions that you might be asked to make as a planning commissioner might not be the same decisions that you would make as a realtor. And can you put aside that expertise and make decisions based on the criteria in front of the Planning Commission and using that structure of decisions as you would if you were to be a commissioner?
Yes, absolutely. So for me, community is number one. So yes, I am a realtor, and at heart, I am first a part of this community. One thing that I do as a realtor is that I give 20% of all my commission back to the community, and my client get to pick a charity to give back. And I think that shows how I can just step back and be more than just a realtor. In my experience, you know, I love to volunteer and I'm part of different kind of boards already. And in my opinion, it's really important to be able to put aside, okay, here is what I think as a realtor, but this is what I want my community to be. And especially when we talk about affordable housing, that goes against, as a realtor, I want to be able to sell the houses the price that they've been selling at the moment. But I also understand what the community needs. So it is really crucial that I am able to do that. And I do believe that I am. I am just first and foremost someone who lives in Montrose and wants the community to be better and improved.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My question, Duffy, how familiar are you with the different zoning districts and regulations that we have here in Montrose?
Well, so I sat on the last meeting when we were talking about Russell Stover and a few other things. So I wasn't too familiar with it until about a couple of months ago when I started looking into it. So I would say, how familiar am I with it? I am new to it. I'm a fast learner and I am quite familiar with it now that I have explored it. But I definitely have room to grow for sure.
All right. Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right. Thank you for your time this morning. And we'll be making that decision here shortly.
Mayor Glasswell, Mr. Dodge is present by telephone.
Okay.
Mr. Dodge, can you hear us?
Yes, I certainly can.
All right, Clifford, would you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yes, sir. I moved here to Montrose not too long ago, and I have always, wherever we've been, I've always believed in citizen involvement in the local community, and I've attempted to involve myself wherever we have lived, because I really believe that this involvement of our citizens, whether it's in government, private sector, with charities or nonprofits, makes any community, including Montrose, an excellent place to live. So I hope to continue my involvement in our community as a small contribution, just kind of giving back. I've been a number of things: a teacher, a broadcaster. I have served in the legislature in Denver, in the House and Senate. I have been a city manager. I have also sat on the Planning Commission in the small town of Glendale, Colorado, back in the early 2000s, and am more than happy to answer your questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bowman, do you have any questions?
I do not. I'm pretty familiar with this gentleman's background. I'm satisfied.
You were a teacher to him?
No.
Yes.
We may have had discussions back when I was with CEA.
I'm sure that's true.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dodge, one of the questions I'm asking of all of our candidates is we have a very big issue in Montrose right now with affordable housing, multifamily housing, and rental units that are, it's really becoming quite an issue in our area. Could you please give us your opinion on that?
Yes, sir. You know, I was sitting here kind of contemplating what was going to be going back and forth, and housing is, of course, a critical issue. But you know, I started to look at the issue of housing, and you can't look at the issue of housing without looking at the issue of growth. Growth, of course, has to pay its way, but from growth, you get jobs. And if you have jobs, you have people coming in and they need the housing. The housing provides the opportunity for transportation. It also provides the opportunity for the environment and quality of life and education. So it is separate, but it is all related together. You know, I've thought a lot about this housing issue, and it is not something that's going to be solved overnight. I believe that there are many ways that a community can deal with it. Public-private partnerships, low-interest loans, a trust fund for affordable housing, maybe the use of tax credits, creating perhaps an incentive zone with regulatory incentives, maybe even getting in the business of rent to own. And of course, the federal government is handing out money by the basketful these days. And perhaps there are some federal and state grants that can be made to fit this situation. And I guess the old tried and true one of bonding is available also, but there are many ways that we can deal with this housing issue. And if you don't have housing, you are not going to grow economically, and you are not going to grow any other way. So this really is the linchpin of everything that we're trying to do in Montrose.
Thank you. Thank you.
Barbara?
Thank you. Thank you for being here this morning by phone so we can talk to you. I'm curious, with such an extensive background and having served on a planning commission prior in a different city in a different decade, how do you reconcile, or how do you balance all that experience, which is great, but with what would be your role as a commissioner here in Montrose today, and looking at our current needs?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of that.
How do you reconcile or balance your past experience with the current role as a commissioner? For example, we don't necessarily want to do it the way Glendale did it in the 90s. So how do you bring in that experience and use it, but apply it to our current needs here in Montrose?
Well, I certainly would hope that we wouldn't do it the way Glendale did it. Not to be critical or anything like that, but the city of Glendale was a total of 355 acres space, so there really wasn't a lot of planning that went on. And what I would tell you is that the Planning Commission has a very, very vital function as far as how this community goes forward, how this community prospers, how this community treats its citizens. And I believe that my experience, both in Glendale and in the state legislature, translates here, because you have very varied housing needs. The the costs are increasing faster than wages, makes it unaffordable for young people. They seem to be leaving for both jobs and other opportunities. And I would suggest that what we need to do is we need to probably, unless it may already be created, I've looked at the budget and was unsure of this, but we need to create an entity that is strictly tasked to recruiting new business to come and locate in Montrose. So I believe that my background fits that. I believe that my legislative background would give me an edge in trying to create these kinds of entities and go out and do the recruiting that is necessary to create the jobs so that all of the other things that I mentioned can be accomplished at the same time.
Thank you.
Clifford, I'm pretty knowledgeable of Glendale, knowing how it was boxed in. How would you differentiate between a community like that is totally boxed in by the city of Denver and lacking an ability to expand to what we have within the Montrose area and the availability of expansion?
Well, it would seem to me the plan, as I understand it, I have copied that the 2008 master plan and have studied it fairly extensively, and I think the city of the master plan is definitely on the right track, talking about all of the things that go into the expansion as the state demographer has put forth. There's going to be a lot of growth here. There's going to be a lot of growth, and in order to manage that growth with land use, sewer and water, transportation, you may have to expand the growth boundaries that the city has put in place right now so that expansion can occur. There's a lot of land that could be annexed, and of course that brings in its own set of problems depending on infrastructure and all of the necessary services that would go with it and with the annexation. I think the city is in a prime position to grow and expand, but as I said in my opening statement or remarks, the growth, all of the jobs, the housing, the transit, the environment, it is all linked together. You can separate any part of it out, but it is still a total package that has to be considered when we're talking about expansion or annexation or planning in that regard. And I absolutely believe, I would say these are not problems, these are opportunities. And I think we can solve them if we put our heads together and really get down to work.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your comments and your time. And we'll be picking those members of the Planning Commission. Is that tomorrow?
So thank you all very much.
Thank you very much for applying, sir. All right. The next item is updates to the municipal code. Mr. Alcorn.
So we started to, at your request, to go through Title I of the City Code, which is the administrative section. Today we have some easy, low-hanging fruit that obviously needs changing. There's some other areas in the administrative section, like the municipal court, which will take a little bit longer. It'd probably be nice to have the judge on board for less than a day before we ask him to start going it over with us. Others like elections we'll review, but so much of that is controlled by the state. I'd expect very little changes there. Back in 2013, we did the contracting and purchases. Though we'll check to see if there's any updates that need to happen there. Probably not. I do note that in the elections, probably the one thing that will change is once we finally get our census data, we'll need to redraw the districts. But the first thing is obviously the city seal. Lisa, do you have any input on that? When did the actual physical seal change?
I think it changed before I was city clerk. We did change it so that we were able to use an ink stamp, and we've been using that, I'd say, for at least 8 years.
So updating the code to show what it actually looks like. And then the meetings, which is kind of what brought this on. There's a lot of things probably that didn't necessarily need to be in the code, such as the specific times, because those things change as the needs of council change. So what is proposed, we have a red line version, is solidifying where we have the meetings, saying where we're going to post time changes, and making sure it's clear that it's up to council to be setting the times for the various meetings. Any input on how that is worded? Is any changes you'd like to see to that?
So just for clarification, this isn't changing any of our meeting times. It's not changing our meeting locations. All this is doing is cleaning up the language in the code to actually conform with what our current practices are.
Right. As council pointed out, we had conflicts. That the code had us meeting at times that we didn't meet. We want to clean that up and then make it easy and clear for council to set those times that are most convenient. Every group of counselors have different schedules, and as seats are filled, maybe we're going to have a time change again. So we want to make it easy for council to be able to do so.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I like the changes. There's one that isn't a change, but maybe it should be, because to me it's a little bit unclear, given our modern communication of email and sometimes the phone. When we talk about a special meeting being called by either 2 council members or the mayor, and that written notice shall be provided to the other councilors, would an email suffice? Because I think we've had special meetings in the past, and I don't think we would type it out in a letter and put it in an email box so much as communicate via email. Hey, there's a special meeting next week or something like that.
Let me look at that. We'll make that. I won't bring that change back to council. We'll do it right at the council meeing. But we'll look at to make sure. I want to make sure there's not a legal definition for written notice, and trying to figure out, do we want email notice? Because if we just say notice, that could mean a phone call, and I think we want proof out there that everybody was notified. So we'll look at that. And it's not, just to be clear, this isn't the notice to the public. That is very clearly outlined how we notify the public of a meeting, but how the 5 councilors are notified that there's a special meeting. It just seems like if I were to put a letter in your box, Dave, you might not actually get it versus an email or a phone call. So just making that a little more clear. Look at maybe written or electronic notice or something.
Whatever works legally.
Okay. There's other language in there that's kind of odd, that delivering a copy of such notice to the council member's residence. We don't and haven't done that for years. So perhaps that language might be updated as well.
Okay.
And do we need to have a time between when you're notified and when the meeting is? 24-hour notice, 48 hours, I don't.
Public, it's a different thing.
I know, but what would it be for us?
I don't know. But it'd be good to know.
Yeah, I don't know, we don't.
It would be good to know if we need to have some time.
Well, we have to, it has to comply with the open meetings law. And they don't give a specific number of hours. Courts have ruled that a couple hours isn't enough. 48 hours is plenty. And I think that there's a general feeling it has to be at least 24 hours in advance. So there isn't a specific time frame. I just worry if we put a specific time frame, there's, 2 months from now, there's going to be one of those weird emergency meetings because they're like some virus or something shows up.
I think we have to post it 24 hours in advance unless we have an emergency that can be called by the city manager.
That is correct. Well, the 24 hours is our practice, not necessarily defined by law. Just says sufficient notice. So I'll look at you make a good point on the resident stuff. We'll see if we can make that sympathetic with the use of electronic email and such. I just don't want to put email in and then find out that 3 years from now we're, email's gone the way of AOL.
Good point. All right. Any other questions for Stephen? All right. The next item on our list is wastewater treatment facility.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this is kind of a repeat of last year. About the same time, we took the centrifuge number 2 offline and had it shipped off for repairs by the manufacturer and stuff. And this year it is scheduled to do the centrifuge number 1 and send it off for repairs. Dairy Specialist is the local representative that will actually do the removal of the centrifuge, packaging it up and shipping it off to Centrisa's, who is the manufacturer for it to be rebuilt. The estimated cost that they provided us for the rebuild was about $56,985 based on their best estimate of the worst case scenario. Again, once they get in there and start taking things apart, there is always the possibility that there's some minor things that come up that weren't anticipated and stuff. That along with the $10,110 for basically removing the components of the centrifuge that need to be rebuilt, sending them back, gives us about a $2,900 in contingency for those unknown things. If we do the not to exceed $70,000, which is included in the budget for this work. So with that, I'll take any questions from the council.
Dave?
So we rebuilt centrifuge number 2 last year, and that was well worth the money. We got a great functioning centrifuge out of that, and so that this is going to be on the same scope of work as that repair that happened last year.
This is very much similar to that. We did have them come in and redo an inspection of the centrifuge just to make sure that there wasn't anything outside of the ordinary. And centrifuge number 2 is working great. We feel confident. The whole purpose of having 2 centrifuges is that if one has problems or something is offline, that we're still able to process the biosolids at the treatment plant. So during this month to 2 months that the centrifuge number 1 is shipped off for repairs, we're going to be without a backup. But since we were a little more concerned about that last year, when we knew we had some issues with centrifuge number 2. Now centrifuge number 1 has just been rebuilt and is in good operating condition. And we feel a lot more confident that we're not going to have any issues during that time period.
Excellent.
Barbara?
Sounds good. Sounds like deja vu.
All over again.
Yeah. Fixing the centrifuge.
Yeah.
That's good.
Dave, does that, one of them will handle anything we have season-wise, it doesn't cause you a problem?
No, we only operate one centrifuge at a time. The second one is purely that it's a backup, which is the state regulations require us to have firm capacity so that if any one of our pieces of equipment is out of service, that we can still operate and meet all of the permit requirements.
I think last time when we talked about the centrifuge, I learned, and please correct me if I'm misremembering this, but that putting eggshells down my disposal was the kind of work the centrifuge does, and that isn't necessarily a good place for eggshells. Am I remembering that right?
Yes. Again, eggshells get broken up and through the screening process, sometimes they'll get sorted out. Sometimes they'll fall out in the grit basin and in the grit separation. And there's another piece of equipment that handles the grit that also creates some issues for it. But also some of them go through and end up in the centrifuge to separate those out.
Sure. And there are a lot of other things that are very obvious that people should not be putting down their sinks or their toilets, but I'll leave it obvious.
Especially flushable wipes that are not.
The flushable wipes create a lot of challenges for the wastewater treatment plant, and that they don't break down when they go down into the sewer. And so they're a very fibrous product that oftentimes will slide between the bar screen and get out into the treatment process. And they get wrapped up in pump impellers and the rotating equipment that's used to aerate the wastewater and can cause a lot of problems at the wastewater treatment plant.
So a good reminder for folks not to flush those.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And put the eggshells in the garden because it's good for it, right?
It's good for the garden. A lot of calcium the garden needs.
All right, thank you, Dave. Next on the item, city council discussion.
One thing that has recently come up is that because of our changing position on the COVID tile is the opportunity for us to go back to personally attended meetings. Now, I recognize that we want to make sure we're in compliance with all applicable health codes and state laws and mandates and so on. And I also recognize that it's awfully short notice to change our meeting tomorrow. But it would be good, I think, for us as a city to start looking at having citizen attendance at our meetings. And I would love to have us start investigating what it would take to do that in a safe and responsible manner.
I agree.
Yeah, I do too.
We're all on the same page on that one.
And I'm certain that our IT organization would be happy to have us doing that.
Although I do believe it is our intent to continue to have that Zoom function available because there are some people who have seen great value in that and are able to attend meetings remotely. So I think there's value in us continuing that Zoom function as well.
I don't know. I think that gets really tricky because the Zoom function requires that we use this whole table in front of us for IT and cameras rather than having the public address us. I think we've got to figure that out. But
I think that's my point.
Easy. Yeah.
That's my point, that we need some work on this to make sure we're doing it. And I don't want to overstress our IT department either.
And our meetings are televised.
They are currently televised. They are available. They are recorded and rebroadcast. So people have that availability as well.
And we've always, well, maybe not. So in order to participate in public comment during a city council meeting, does that member of the public need to, have they in the past needed to be here? I mean, we know they can submit written comment ahead of time. We know they can come to us in person and they have that opportunity for public comment. have we allowed in the past folks to call in with their public comment? And if not, do we perhaps need to look at expanding that opportunity? Because we have, I think, seen value in allowing people to participate in meetings without having to be here personally. So I think these are the things we need to figure out.
Yes.
Bill, you have any comment on this?
I think the biggest thing is just give us direction on what you want us to make happen, and then we'll make that happen. Figure out the best way to do it, and of course, get correspondence with IT and then get back to you on it. But what I'm hearing is we want to try to go in person as soon as possible. Do you want it tomorrow night, or do you want to start at the next work session?
I think tomorrow night is a little too fast for us to really make it. We're kind of midstream for tomorrow, but since there are some upcoming issues, possible on the June meeting for the appointment of a city council member, that might be nice to have the public available in person for that.
And I think you mean May.
May.
Okay, so we'll shoot for the work session in May, the first work session in May, and we want to keep a hybrid option available for people so they can provide public comment and participate via Zoom and or phone. That way, if they're busy and they can't get here in person, they can still participate in the meetings moving forward.
We've had some phone communication available. I know when the council people have been out, we've been able to phone in and utilize that. So we might be able to utilize that factor without having to have all the other parts that we're using at the present.
Yeah, we've had phone in the past.
I like the option of Zoom because that way you actually get to see if you're, say Dave has to go out of town for something and wants to participate in the meeting, or that having that Zoom option, I think, gives us value there, because then you're able to see what's going on, you're able to participate, and the public's able to see us on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
I think
the phone-in option, I like it as a backup tool, but I think Zoom is much more efficient for that communication.
everything we've seen on all the listservs and the other towns in Colorado are trying to, probably across the country, continue the hybrid model because it's been successful. A lot of people have participated that wouldn't normally be able to.
Right.
So we've talked internally about continuing that. We figured that's what you would do. So
yeah, I think that's great. We've talked about council, we've talked about the public, but I think also for our invited guests, whether we want to hear from a manager at Shaw Construction or a liquor license applicant, or an expert on the child care study, that they can participate and we can see them face to face, even if they're not physically in Montrose. And I think there's been a lot of value to that.
You feel comfortable with that as direction?
How does Greg feel about it? You feel comfortable?
Whatever you need happen.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that would be our May 4th meeting, looking for that to happen on the May 4th meeting.
Where's that May 3rd?
May 4th is Tuesday.
You want work sessions
May 3rd. Primarily my focus, I mean, work session is great, but my primary focus is the actual council meeting, since that's when actions are taken.
I think we should start with work session though, because we'll be interviewing candidates for the open council seat, and doing that face to face, I think, has a lot of value, and allowing the public to be here for that has a lot of value.
I agree. I think that's excellent.
So we'll be looking forward to May 3rd work session, start in person.
Thank you, staff. You've done a great job through this entire pandemic, and I just want to recognize that it's been a lot of work, especially from our IT department. You guys are rock stars.
For sure.
All right. Any other general council discussions? Barbara?
Nope, that's what I wanted to talk about that. I'm glad we did.
Yeah, I think we all had that on our mind, so I don't have anything else. Staff comments? Looks like fear in their eyes.
I don't know if it's fear or they're just excited to get done with the meeting early.
Lisa, do you have anything?
We do have an alcohol server training for city staff. I think we have a couple of city council members signed up, but there's plenty of room in the class for anyone who's interested.
Can Can you also give us an update? You are still accepting applications for folks who live in the city. Can you remind us the requirements for people who might be interested in applying for the vacancy on council?
Sure. The deadline is this coming Thursday at 6 p.m. We are considering applications from throughout the city. The requirements are you have to be 18 years old, a registered voter, and a background free of felony convictions. Am I missing anything, Stephen?
I think that's it.
Those are the main ones. So we do have an online application form. You can actually fill out the application on our website and it gets submitted at the city clerk's office.
Thanks.
That alcohol server training is on Monday,
Monday at 1 p.m.
26th at 1 p.m.
Yes.
And there is still availability for public to be participating in these.
Yes, right now we have about 16 signed up, so sure we would take any registrations.
So there's still an opportunity for public to get involved.
Absolutely. We had a class last Thursday and we had, I would say about somewhere between 25 and 30 who actually showed up. So it's a very good class.
Any other comments? Anyone else? In that case, let's adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
2 o'clock at Chowdown.
Yes.
Yeah, they're giving out free samples.
Snacks.